Picture the American economy in the 1870s. Imagine every single dollar bill circulating in the entire country. Now, imagine one man holding one out of every 9 of those dollars in his own pocket. That man was Cornelius Vanderbilt. He didn't just have a lot of money. He had a personal fortune of $105 million in 1877. Adjusted for inflation, that is roughly $185 billion today. He was richer than the U.S. Treasury. But the money isn't the scary part. The scary part is how he got it. He married his first cousin. Then, after she died, he married another cousin. He committed his own wife to a lunatic asylum for disagreeing with him. He drove his competitors to suicide. He was a financial genius, a brutal husband, and a terrible father. But to understand how one uneducated boatman effectively bought the United States, we have to go back to the beginning. We have to go back to a loan of exactly $100. The year is 1810. Vanderbilt is 16 years old. He is illiterate. He is rough. And he wants to buy a small barge called a periauger. He asks his mother for a loan of $100. She agrees, but she gives him a condition. He has to plow, concede an 8-acre rocky field in 3 days. It's an impossible task. He does it anyway. He buys the boat. He starts ferrying passengers across New York Harbor. Most captains charge 18 cents per trip. Vanderbilt charges 10 cents. It is a simple math equation that defines the next 60 years of his life. Volume beats margin. By 1812, the U.S. is at war with Britain. The Army needs supplies moved to harbor forts. Vanderbilt wins the government contract. He isn't sleeping. He isn't eating. He is moving cargo 20 hours a day. By the time the war ends in 1815, he has a fleet of schooners and $10,000 in cash. That is the equivalent of a massive seed round for a teenager. But here is where he does something that shocks everyone. He looks at his sailing fleet. He looks at the new dangerous technology of steam engines. And he sells everything. He sells his own boats to become an employee for someone else. Why would a successful business owner take a job? Because Vanderbilt knew he lacked technical knowledge. He goes to work for Thomas Gibbons, a wealthy steamship owner. He spends the next few years learning the mechanics of steam engines. He learns the law. He learns the routes. He is essentially getting a paid MBA in transportation. But there is a problem. The waters of New York are controlled by a legal monopoly. Only the aristocratic Livingston and Fulton families are allowed to run steamships. Vanderbilt takes this personally. He becomes the captain of the Bellona. He runs the ship illegally. He builds secret compartments in the hull to hide from police serving warrants. He drops his fare from $4 to $1. The monopoly cannot compete with those prices. They sue. The case Gibbons v. Ogden goes all the way to the Supreme Court, and Vanderbilt wins. He breaks the monopoly. He opens up the waterways of America to free trade, but he doesn't celebrate. He quits. He takes his new knowledge and starts his own line immediately. He applies the same brutal tactic. He finds a competitor. He cuts his prices to zero. He offers free meals on board. He bleeds the competitor until they beg for mercy. Competitors start paying him to not do business. One group of shipping owners pays him $100,000 up front, plus $5,000 a year, just to stay away. He is basically running a protection racket with steam engines. Jump forward to 1849. Gold is discovered in California. Tens of thousands of people need to get from the East Coast to the West Coast. They have 2 bad choices. Walk 2,000 miles across the dangerous plains, or sail 13,000 miles around Cape Horn. Vanderbilt looks at a map. He sees Nicaragua. He realizes he can cut 600 miles off the trip compared to the Panama route competitors are using. He creates the Accessory Transit Company. He charges $300 for the trip. His competitors charge $600. He is making $1 million a year personally. But while he is in Europe on vacation, his board of directors tries to steal the company. They manipulate the stock. They cut him out. Vanderbilt doesn't sue them. He writes them a letter. It is the shortest, most brutal business letter in history. Gentlemen, you have undertaken to cheat me. I won't sue you, for the law is too slow. I'll ruin you. Yours truly, Cornelius Vanderbilt. He returns to New York. He starts a rival line. He sets the price to California at $35. His old company goes bankrupt within months. He buys their assets for pennies. He didn't just win. He erased them. Now we reach 1862. Vanderbilt is nearly 70 years old. In the 19th century, you are supposed to be dead by now. Instead, he executes the biggest asset shift in business history. He looks at his steamships. He is the Commodore. Ships are his identity. And he sells them. All of them. He takes $30 million in cash and dumps it into the one thing he hates: railroads. He starts buying the Harlem and Hudson lines. These are the only lines that go directly into Manhattan. Wall Street traders think he is a senile old man. They try to short the stock. Led by Daniel Drew, a man Vanderbilt actually liked, they bet against him. They sell shares they don't own, hoping the price crashes. Vanderbilt buys every single share they sell. He buys the entire float. When the traders try to close their positions, there are no shares left to buy. Vanderbilt owns them all. He squeezes them until they are bankrupt. Daniel Drew begs for mercy. Vanderbilt takes his money, but lets him live to fight another day. A mistake he would regret. Vanderbilt now controls the lines into New York City, but he wants the New York Central Railroad to complete his empire. The owners of the Central try to cut him out. They think they have him trapped. It is the dead of winter, 1867. Vanderbilt owns the only bridge into Manhattan. The law says he has to run trains, but the law doesn't say when. He stops the trains on the bridge. He halts all cargo. New York City is cut off from food and fuel. The city begins to freeze. The stock of the New York Central collapses. Passengers are stranded in the snow. The Central owners beg him to open the bridge. He ignores them until their stock is worthless. He buys the New York Central for pennies on the dollar. He reopens the bridge. He merges the lines. He creates the first giant corporation in American history. He builds Grand Central Depot as a monument to his victory. He puts a statue of himself on the roof. He has won, or so he thinks. In 1868, Vanderbilt tries to buy the Erie Railroad.
He thinks it will be another easy takeover, but he is up against three men: his old frenemy Daniel Drew, the secretive genius Jay Gould, and the flamboyant showman Jim Fisk. Vanderbilt starts buying Erie shares. He expects the price to go up, but the price stays flat. He keeps buying. He spends $7 million. That is $140 million today. He still doesn't own the company. Why? Gould and Fisk are in the basement of the Erie offices. They have a printing press. Every time Vanderbilt buys a share, they print a new one. They are illegally watering the stock. Vanderbilt is buying paper that didn't exist 10 minutes ago. He realizes he is being robbed. He sues. Gould, Fisk, and Drew grab suitcases full of cash and flee to New Jersey. They barricade themselves in a hotel with armed guards and cannons. It is literally a corporate war. Eventually, Vanderbilt negotiates a settlement. He gets most of his money back. But he never gets the Erie Railroad. It is the only time in his life he was truly outsmarted. Business was war, but his family life was a tragedy. He had 13 children. He largely ignored the girls. He bullied the boys. He called his son William a blockhead. He had his son Cornelius Jeremiah committed to an asylum twice for gambling debts. When his wife Sophia died, he went to mediums to try and talk to her ghost. Then he married another cousin, Frank Armstrong, who was 40 years younger than him. When Vanderbilt finally died in 1877, the reading of the will was a shock. He left 95% of his massive fortune to William. The other children got scraps. Vanderbilt believed that dividing capital destroys it. He wanted the power to remain intact. It triggered the biggest inheritance lawsuit in American history. So what is the result of all this greed? Vanderbilt was a brute. But look at the data. Before him, travel was expensive, slow, and dangerous. After him, the cost of moving food and fuel across America dropped by 40%. He created the infrastructure that allowed the US to become an industrial superpower. Ironically, he paved the way for the man who would eventually beat him. A young oil refiner named John D. Rockefeller used Vanderbilt's cheap trains to build Standard Oil. And eventually, Rockefeller built pipelines that made railroads obsolete. It is the cycle of capitalism. The disruptor becomes the monopoly, and the monopoly gets disrupted. Vanderbilt died as he lived. Fighting, he left behind a university, a railroad empire, and a blueprint for every tycoon who followed him. He proved that you don't have to be a nice person to change the world. You just have to be right about the math. So here is the question for you. Was Vanderbilt a villain who hoarded wealth, or a hero who built the modern economy? I want to see your vote in the comments. Team villain or team builder? And if you want to see how Rockefeller took the crown from him, click this video right here. Don't forget to subscribe.